Hello everyone. In today's video, we're going to talk about a topic that's going to help you develop solid writing skills. This is called the writing process. The objectives of this presentation are to discuss the importance of the writing process and to review the stages of the writing process. Let's start by looking at these questions. What is the writing process? What are the steps that you already know or you've heard about the writing process? And is it important to follow a process when writing or not? What do you think? So now you could pause the video and jot down your ideas of what you already know about this topic. So, have you ever read a manual when you're building something, when you're assembling something? Manuals, the truth is that manuals are sometimes boring to read, but they are very useful because they give you steps that you follow and they're going to save you time and prevent you from messing up. So you should look at this information as a manual for academic writing. The OWL Purdue Writing Lab advises you to use all this information when writing for a class. Let's read what they have to say about this. Let's consider this presentation the manual to the writing process. You might choose not to follow all the steps, but knowing about these stages, strategies, and techniques is going to save you some time, which is very valuable for you in college. Is also going to help you prevent frustration that you might feel when you read your teacher's feedback, and eventually is going to help you get a good grade in a composition class. These are two diagrams that you have probably seen before about the writing process. And as you can see here, in these diagrams, they are kind of linear. After you finish one of the stages, you start with the next one. So these writing diagrams are called linear. However, we know that the writing process is cyclical. And in this diagram that I'm showing you right now, that has been taken from the OWL Purdue Writing Lab, there are only 3 stages that we take into account. And as you can see there, they are in a cycle. So once you finish one step and move on to the next one, you can actually come back. It is okay to come back to the previous one. So we start with the invention process, then we move on to composition, and we finish off with revision. But if, for example, in the process of drafting your paper, you want to add a new idea that you came up with, then you can go back to the invention process. Or in the same way, if you are already revising, but you want to draft a new paragraph, you want to reorganize ideas, then you can go back to composing. The first step is invent. In this part, you gather all the ideas, you collect all the ideas about the topic. So it is very important to first understand very well what is it that your writing instructor is asking you to do. So you read the essay prompt very carefully, read all the instructions given by the instructor, and make sure that you really understand what they want from you. After that, then you start reflecting, you start thinking about the rhetorical situation. There is going to be a separate presentation about this. So what is the purpose of the writing? Are you trying to persuade? Are you trying to describe, convince? Who's your audience? In what context are you going to write? About the present, current times, about the past? Is this a historical paper? Is it about future implications? Is it about a specific area in the world? What style are you going to use? All these questions are very important to consider at the very beginning before you start actually writing your paper. The third tip here is to research your topic. So my advice is go to the library. You can visit the campus library, you can look up information online, and make sure that you read more about the topic that you're going to write so you can focus your ideas. Prepare an outline. So when you gather and you have all this information in however way you want, maybe you have it on a list, in a map, in a cluster, free writing, then you sit down and organize your ideas in an outline. Put them in a specific sequence that you want. In this part, I also encourage you to think about rhetorical devices such as ethos, logos, pathos. Finally, I would invite you to create a schedule for yourself. If you try to do the whole writing process in one night, it is going to become a frustrating and overwhelming task. But if you break down this process in parts and you schedule yourself, then you're going to be more effective, and it's going to be a more enjoyable and fruitful process. For the compose, the second stage, this is where you read more about the topic, you conduct your research, and then you start thinking about what elements of the topic you want to explore in more depth. This is called narrowing the topic. Then you think about what is the purpose of your essay. That's your thesis statement. And then you organize your ideas in a sequenced way. And that's going to give you your first draft. So after you create your outline and everything is organized, then just open up a blank page and start writing. You're ready. Then the revision process. This can also be a messy and overwhelming phase. So it's better if we break it down into separate parts. First, we look at the content. This is called reviewing. This is where you look at the ideas that you have written. So is your introduction clear? Do you have a solid thesis statement? Are your paragraphs using a good paragraph structure? Do you have a strong conclusion at the end that ties up the whole paper together? All these questions are related to content, and this is where you can reconfigure the information, you can reorganize the information, move paragraphs around, add new ideas, delete ideas that now after writing your paper are not that relevant. Once that is finished, then you can move on to looking at the form. So this is called proofreading. In this part, you're going to focus on the language. Is your grammar okay? Are you using the correct vocabulary, spelling, punctuation? Is your style accurate? If you're using APA for your paper, do you have the correct in-text citations? Do you have enough quotes versus paraphrasing? Are your references accurate? All those questions are the ones that you need to look at in the form or the proofreading. So in summary, or to recap, there are 3 stages to the writing process: invent, compose, and revise. And this is a cycle. You can go back from one stage to the previous one. It is okay to do that. And it's actually encouraged, and it's going to help you come up with a better and more effective final product. Here we have a short reflection exercise. There are some questions that you're going to answer either on your notebook and share in your next class, or if your instructor opens up a forum online, then you can participate with your answers to these questions. What is the writing process? Why is it important to follow a process when writing? Do you follow all these steps presented in this video, or do you use a different system? If so, if you use different steps, what are they? In your opinion, what are other factors that can help you write effectively besides the writing process? Write down your ideas on your notebook, on a blank page, and be ready to share your answers with the class. Thank you to the OWL Purdue Writing Lab for sharing this information. Thank you very much for your attention. Do not hesitate to contact me at jreyes@zamorano.edu if you have any questions. Thank you.